Let's get the read on all of this. New York City Minority Whip Joe Borelli, Charlie Gasparino, former managing director for the Democratic National Campaign Committee, Taryn Rosencrantz. All right, Joe, the White House apparently was taken by surprise by this. They've not been fans of McCabe. The president personally not a fan of McCabe. Does any of this move the needle for you one way or the other?
Yeah, I think it makes it very difficult for Democrats to try to dissuade the public that these conspiracy theories, or as though they've tried to dismiss them, are something more substantial. You know, they've been telling us that this memo is something that we shouldn't be paying attention to, but you can't ignore the fact that on Sunday, Christopher Wray goes and views the memo, which is alleged to be about Andrew McCabe, and then the very next day, McCabe resigns. These two things are too coincidental to be ignored, and they can't be dismissed.
You know, Charlie, the markets don't seem to give a pinkus cuss. So what do you make of that?
As well, they shouldn't. I mean, I would decouple the Russian nonsense from the Trump Russian nonsense from the Trump economic record, which has been pretty damn good. You know, listen, I'm not in favor of everything in that tax bill. I think the personal side is pretty crummy, as a matter of fact. But he did some really good things with business taxes.
So all this other stuff is noise, and that's what your guys are telling you?
Yes, unless it becomes an existential threat to President Trump himself, and then you're going to see the markets trade off. Now, what do I mean existential threat? That he has to leave office or he may get indicted or something like that. But if you listen to a lot of people, it doesn't seem, this is where it gets, when you sort of peel back on all the process layers here.
Yeah.
The Russian stuff seems to not to be, as your last guest says, not focused necessarily on him. It seems to be, he may be under investigation, but the bad stuff occurred under him, or the allegedly bad stuff. So the markets are saying that. That's why the markets are trading off barely today. I mean, they're off for a lot of reasons, including profit taking.
No, fair enough, fair enough. Taryn, let me ask you, I mean, the president, of course, the State of the Union address tomorrow night. This might just provide new drama, certainly for the White House briefing, another 6 or so minutes away. Do you think it should be? I mean, do you think that the president now, given the reception he received in Davos and growing talk about cooperation with Democrats on an infrastructure plan, that they can work on two rails here? Taryn, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you were talking to me. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I do that all the time. I'm in my own little world. But that's what I'm saying. Do you think that all this political intrigue notwithstanding, the two parties can work together, the president can set that up tomorrow night?
Well, I think he's going to have a hard time. I mean, you continue to talk conspiracy theories. You continue to kind of have this back and forth, these jabs at one another that he does quite frequently. It's going to be hard for the American public to swallow that Trump is, going to reach across the aisle and really get things done. I think the GOP tax plan is a great example of this. We were supposed to be promised long-term wages, and we were supposed to be promised, and instead it's just giving taxes to the richest people.
Oh, Taryn, be careful. Taryn, be careful with that. I mean, Taryn, careful. I mean, because it's proving.
The truth about
no. But
Taryn,
I think some people are getting surprised by the fallout from this.
Well, first off, Neil, let's set the record straight. The rich people didn't get a tax break here. A lot of rich people are paying a lot more taxes. Corporations got a tax break. Small businesses got a tax break. Guess who corporations and small businesses hire? They hire average Americans, and so and you can see it already in the numbers. So let's put that in the right context.
All right, I do want to get guys. Hang on to that thought. Hang on to that thought, because I want to squeeze this in. I beg you to stop for a second, because Bernie Marcus was on Cavuto Live. I named that show after myself. It's on weekend. Anyway, he was ripping Democrats for downplaying all this corporate largesse. I want you to react to this.
And I can tell you that $1,000 is more than meaningful. It could be paying the mortgage. It could be paying for a car repair. It could be paying for a past due bill. These are things that the Pelosi-Schumer group don't have a clue about. That's why they lost the election. It's as simple as that. They are so busy with their elitists in San Francisco and Hollywood and New York City and all these money deals that they go into week after week after week. And Clinton never knew about the real people out there. And that's why they lost the election, and that's why they're going to lose the next election for the same reason.
Taryn, what he is saying is that Democrats don't realize when they say things like chump change or crumbs that they're sounding elitist themselves, and they might rue the day they railed against this thing because it's paying it forward. There are a lot of unexpected consequences of this these companies now providing this to upwards of 4 million Americans that you guys don't appreciate.
So, Neil, I think the real truth of it is that what they were saying is that $1,000 is significant, but these were bonuses that were expected to be paid out anyway.
Really?
No, Taryn, I follow
Most
this.
of those companies have admitted.
Taryn, I have no political axe to grind.
Taryn,
I got to tell you, Taryn.
We were
promised
by the GOP long-term wage increases. Long-term wage increases.
All right.
And that's not what you're seeing.
All right,
okay, I'm listening, Neil. I'm with you.
Here's what I'm saying. I have no political axe to grind. The president doesn't do the show, doesn't flip over me. I don't even flip over myself. So, Joe, I'm telling you, this was not expected. Companies doing what they're doing right now, and again, for a lot of different reasons. Believe me, they have their own reasons.
Neil,
but they got a curse of riches.
They
got a curse of riches, but they're sharing that. And I don't think the magnitude of that was forecast even by the White House.
No, look, my father-in-law is a Home Depot employee at the Middletown branch in New Jersey. I'm thrilled about this $100,000, and it is actually something that is meaningful to my family, as was the extra $50 I got in my paycheck over the weekend. Democrats have spent 4 months trying to tell us that this was crumbs. They've essentially become caricatures of modern Marie Antoinettes, trying to tell people that the tangible benefits they're actually seeing in their paychecks do not matter. And then you have someone like Bernie Marcus who's just proving them all wrong.
And no offense, Neil. No offense, Taryn, I should say. You like to hand out the crumbs. That's the difference here. What's gotten the Democrats all up in arms is that capitalism is actually working, where the private sector is handing out the benefits of lower taxes to average people, not big brother government, which you love, which, by the way, never really comes through. Let me listen. The crumbs that you would rather hand out your crumbs to welfare and everything else than have Bernie Marcus, who's actually created jobs, make people richer. And that just admit it.
Well, let Taryn answer that. Taryn answer that.
One thing I must say is some of these companies are simultaneously laying off workers. Okay, they're simultaneously closing stores. You can admit that. You can see that. We can pull the facts up.
That's because
these are bonuses that were expected to be paid out in many of the cases.
They were going to lay
not
them off
all.
anyway.
I'll give you that.
Look,
so my point is, I would rather have a job than that $1,000 bonus.
No.
What are you doing? This is why you're talking about crumbs.
I hope Taryn
so they were going to get laid off anyway.
I hope Taryn has a job in 2018 leading the Democrats' messaging, because if they stick to this message, they're going to lose.